Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Stregi, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but this whole entire month is my month, so I'm going to host it like no tomorrow. But we definitely have another in the franchise of Sharknado. This one was done the following year from last week's episode in 2014 by Anthony C. Ferrante. And it also the stars
Okay. Are you there, Dave?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to read a little bit from IMDb, but Finn and April basically reprised Tara Reid and Ian Ziering, and then of course we have quite a few cast of characters that show up, including as cameos. So let's see, what does IMDb say about the film? Finn and April are on their way to New York City until a Category 7 hurricane spawns heavy rain, storm surges, and deadly sharknadoes.
As you do.
But let us go and see what everyone's first impression of this this second the sequel to Sharknado is for everyone around the room. So, Tammy, was this a first time watch for you?
No, because we watched them all.
And what were your thoughts on this with this one this time around?
Well, like I said with the first one, they were better this time around too. With this one, I mean, when you first introduced all these to me, I was like, really? I really wasn't thinking the best of these, but I guess they kind of grow on you a little bit, you might say.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But I thought, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was cool. He got other, other family members. It was, type of a thing, and everybody working together. And I liked his imagination. I liked his imagination for trying to get rid of the tornadoes. The different things he came up with, because he couldn't have all the stuff. Like the first one, the stuff that he had used in the first one, he couldn't get, and he didn't have a helicopter, and he had good imagination for trying to do it, but
yeah, people didn't believe him that what was coming for them was happening at first.
But in this one, he's kind of like a hero, and so people do somewhat listen to him on this one. I mean, I do think it's funny when the one mother lady was sitting there saying, "There'll be sharks falling at
A rate of 2 inches an hour.
Yeah, to rate of 2 inches an hour. And I'm like, what? You
I'm
know?
like, those are some little sharks.
So yeah, it definitely still had the humor. Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Okay. What about you, Brandon? Was this a first time watch for you?
No. I mean, I've seen the first 4 of these prior, and well, I mean, I know that they try to top the ridiculousness each movie, at least for the first 4. I couldn't tell you about 5 or 6. That'll be a first for me when we get to those later in the year. But they definitely did a good job topping it. I decided to leave this background as it was indeed taken from this movie. But it also involved him cutting a shark in half with a chainsaw, which I guess we got to repeat that lovely thing. And I'm glad that we have Jacob with us because he can tell us how accurate this movie is biologically. Which I'm sure that in nature he can tell us that this is something that happens often in nature.
Yes. Well, as Tammy mentioned, apparently it does, because the way that weather woman was talking, it sounded like they had icons ready to go for Sharknado events and all that kind of stuff. And
well, apparently, shark-related weather is a normal thing. It's just Sharknadoes aren't quite as often as they should be.
Yeah.
In a world where obviously there is an overpopulation of sharks.
Right.
that can breathe air and are pretty well and are much more aggressive than real sharks. But this decided it wanted to be over the top. It was a pleasure to watch it again. I did enjoy hitting this a second time. It's a bad series. It knows it's a bad series, and it enjoys it. It enjoys saying, yeah, we're over the top. Yeah, we're terrible. And so what? And I like that. I think that it's great when a series just takes that stuff, runs with it, and owns up to it.
Yeah, I like it when you've got a director that he's making a bad movie, but with all the different cameos that come along with in these films as it goes on. It's kind of like the Marvel universe of cameos.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Yeah,
and it keeps going as the series goes on. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's definitely a guilty pleasure series. I do have the Shark Steelbook because why not? I mean, you can feel the little pointy teeth. That's nice. So do I think this is something that needs to have a Blu-ray collection of? Probably not. I don't think it's necessary to go above DVD quality. I think 480 to 780 is enough. But, occasionally a 1080p CGI shark film is warranted. And that is all I'll say about that.
Okay. How about you, Jake? Was this a first time watch for you?
Well, this, of course, is the one in the series I do have on Blu-ray, which is kind of annoying to have it in different formats, but whatever. Yes, it was a first time. I have seen the first one, but this was my first time going beyond the first one. And so from here on out, it's all going to be first time viewing. And I expected it to be even more over the top than the first one, even more ridiculous, but my God, they really jump in with both feet. They're just with a full-on airplane spoof, apparently at the beginning, with one of our first cameos being the guy that starred in Airplane. So it's like, okay, this is kind of fun.
Well,
in
the making of Sharknado 2, the director straight up said that he actually spoofed that Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like Airplane and Twilight Zone mixed into one. And I read that Shatner was offered a part, but he turned it down. But the and yes, I was very much intrigued by the cameos. It's it's really it's really interesting that not in the first 4 months of the year, not only have we had two separate franchises that star Tara Reid, but we've also had two movies that couldn't be more different on the quality scale, but that fall very close to one another on the what the fuck did I just watch scale, that feature cameos by Billy Ray Cyrus. So I thought that was kind of hilarious. You know, we got some other good ones in there too. You know, Judd Hirsch and
Well, Ian is like I said in the first one, he's from 90210 Beverly Hills.
right,
So he's an alumni of that. Tara
right.
Reid, well, she rode the American Pie train.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I was a little
and-
surprised that Vivica A. Fox was a co-star in this movie, but yeah. So I guess she kind of took the role of John Hurt, of someone who's kind of better known and a little bit more high quality generally. But you also got Carrie Warrer in a supporting role, and Peppa of Salt and Peppa gets a cameo. You know, you got some
Andy
interesting.
Dick, you got Kurt Angle, you got Robert Klein.
And all the various news personalities who play themselves, there's a lot of those. News and talk show and whatever. You got like Al Roker and Kelly Ripa and the Matt Lauer, who's not anyone's favorite anymore, but, you know, he was game for this movie, I guess. It was overall, the movie is...
Shut up in here.
I have no idea what you just said. But anyway, the movie is absolutely ridiculous and a lot of fun. And I will admit I kind of had my doubts at the beginning because of how it just jumped right into the ridiculousness without any preamble. I'm like, they're flying through a shark storm. And I'm like, well, where do you go from here? You start the movie in the storm, but we figured it out. And of course, when Tara Reid, April, I guess, when she loses her hand, I'm like, before the end of the movie, she's attaching a weapon to that stump. I was like, I know this is coming. And I was right. Because this is that kind of movie. You don't take the star's hand away and not give her a weapon.
Right.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting. It is absolutely ridiculous, but in a good way.
In a good way.
Indeed.
Alrighty. Well, and me myself, well, I kind of rode the gravy train on this series while it was actually on Sci-Fi Channel. And I waited for information to come out about each and every one because I really got into this series, and I still am pretty stoked about watching the next two again. I love the cameos. I love the ridiculousness of it. I love the fact that Ian gets right into his character and he just takes charge. Tara Reid, well, she definitely goes a little bit more badass. I mean, you got Sugar Ray as his like brother-in-law, and then of course they bring the Mets game into it with. I know I've seen the guy who plays the baseball player who finally.
Oh, that was Richard Kind. Yeah.
Richard Kind. He showed up on the new Night Court a couple of episodes. So.
Well, he was on Only Murders, and he was on Spin City and a bunch of good stuff over the years. And we also had Judah Friedlander, who starred in 30 Rock and a bunch of other good stuff. He plays the brother-in-law's buddy.
Well, and you also have Andy Dick, who started out as
Right.
a voiceover in Castle in the Sky, a Studio Ghibli film.
Oh, he didn't start out there. That came much later in his career, but yeah.
Actually, that was earlier.
That it's going to say 86 on the IMDb because that's when the movie came out. But that dub was something like 2010 or something. It was much later, or 2005.
Yeah, the dub itself was much later than the movie. They didn't English dub it until way later.
I think it was like 2004, 2005, actually.
That was the Disney. That was after Disney acquired the rights, which was in the 2000s, early late 2000s.
Well, regardless, he shows up as the cop. That's kind of like, okay, you're telling us there's sharks. There's a dangerous storm. Yeah, right. New York City has had some whatever. But let's get into the movie. I totally enjoy this movie, as I did the one before. So we kind of mentioned it, the fact that there is a flight 102. I believe that's the name of the flight that heads into a storm, and I remember the pilot was actually saying, "Oh, I've been in worse storms than this," and you see a few people around. I mean, you got Will Wheaton, who shows up as one of the passengers. I think that was kind of interesting.
Right.
But it was a very short cameo. It wasn't even that long. But you have Tara Reid and Ian reprising the roles of Finn and April. She's got a book signing that she's on her way to. How I Survived the Sharknado, or something to that effect.
How to Survive the Sharknado, yeah.
And of course, the director straight out says in the behind the scenes stuff, like I said earlier, that he is going to spoof the Twilight Zone in this episode, because he sees a shark on the wing, and then when people look, there's nothing there. And of course, there's a guy who apparently is a passenger, but he very much acts like a no nonsense cop.
Well, he's a U.S. Marshal. They flight marshal rather. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that moment when Ben Stiller stood up in the Wedding Singer and said, "Bomb on an airplane." Sir, you did not say bomb on an airplane.
Right. You're not supposed to. That's bad form.
But
and also note that the flight attendant is a super fan who ends up getting April's autograph, and she's played by Kelly Osbourne. So that was kind of a fun little cameo.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a fun one. I mean, I can definitely recognize her from the show and whatnot. When she said that she was offered the role, she was like, "Well, why not?"
Right.
When did the Osbournes hit their peak of fame? I thought it was much earlier than that.
I would say probably the mid-aughts at the latest, but I don't remember for sure. I didn't watch the show myself.
I mean, I didn't either, but I know that they were big when it was on.
Right.
Okay, the Osbournes was 2002.
Okay.
And so it had long been gone and done. 2005 is when the series ended, so it's kind of that.
Okay.
So I guess it was just kind of a blast from the past, I guess. That's the reason why I was like,
Right.
I thought that stuff was going on during my college years, during my grad school years it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, odd.
Yeah, it's not that I followed the show, but I knew enough of her face that I could tell that that's who it was.
Right.
Even before I saw who it was at credits. And of course, after the shark's been seen on the wing, then of course there's the kids who look out the window and they're like, those are bats or birds or aren't and they start arguing, and that's when things that I think that's when a shark hits one of the engines, and
There she was.
That's when the shark hits the fan, right?
right, and then of course that's when people start noticing more about the sharks being all around them. Of course, the pilot and the co-pilot, well, they start dealing with some stuff on their own, and he's like, "Holy crap! I've never seen this." And of course, I think, Kelly Osbourne. Well, she, of course, she's one of the ones that gets killed on screen. I think
Yeah,
the
she
shark
did.
just kind of bit her head off. But
I wonder.
co-pilot and the pilot end up.
You said something about the kids were saying they thought they saw bats. And
Bats or birds or something like that.
no, I think you might be right. And I wonder if that was intentional that they said they, and then she gets her head bitten off. Like, I wonder if that was a direct nod to, who knows?
Well, we all know that Kelly Osbourne is kind of controversial.
Well, we're of course talking about the one of the better known bits of lore about her old man, but you know, all the Osbournes are a little odd.
Yeah. On the board. No, just kidding. But let's see. So the pilot and the co-pilot, well, they eventually get eaten and disappear off out of the plane, and that's when Finn has to take charge of the airplane, and he's trying to talk to the airport control tower that is near them, that he has to make a fast landing, and I guess it just so happens to be exactly where they need to go anyways.
Well,
So,
they were already making their descent when the pilots were taken out. He mostly just had to land the plane. But
there's there's a lot of okay. Why is this readily available for them? Kind of moments in here. But in any case, they land.
Before that, you got to mention that April tries to make her way to the front of the plane too, and the marshal follows her, and the door flies open, and she almost gets pulled out. And while the marshals save her, a shark comes up and bites her hand off, and then he gives her a gun, and she blasts the shark away with the gun.
But the shark eats a bit of her hand.
One of the things I find is interesting is that it took the door flying open for the inside of the airplane to decompress.
Right.
Whereas half the airplane side being blasted open by a shark did not decompress it at all. People were walking around. There was no wind in there. It was just like, it's all right. But the door...
because science. It's the magic of Hollywood.
so Jacob,
what's
you're
up?
not like a full-on biologist, but you studied biology to a degree.
Well, yeah.
So how long do you feel like sharks would last up to the point where they'd be able to eat people while up in a weather system like that?
In the upper atmosphere? Yeah, I don't think that would happen. Yeah. I mean, if the sharks were getting thrown about by the storm, they certainly could make very dangerous projectiles. But a shark coming in for the attack and chopping someone's hand off very consciously and deliberately, yeah, I don't think that would happen.
I think that the sharks, but what about the sharks being in cahoots
Right.
with the weather system?
Yeah, well, I didn't think about that. No.
They could have planned it together,
Well, yeah. But like, and then of course you got the lady who was in the restroom, and a shark comes in from straight above and right through the plane and eats her right off the toilet. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, no.
So, totally logical.
Oh yeah, this movie follows a whole heck of a logic, a lot of
yeah.
logic. Doesn't it?
Hey, logic is its
But,
defining trait, after all.
Finn makes the landing. They apparently take his wife or ex-wife because they refer to her as the ex-wife at the moment.
Well, yeah.
And he basically gets her to the hospital. They don't allow him in, and he's kind of waiting for the results of what's happening with April. Meanwhile, the brother-in-law and wife and son, sister.
His sister, brother-in-law, and their 2 kids, yeah.
Are apparently in New York, apparently to be what would you call them, tourists. And the wife and a friend of theirs and the sister end up going to look at the Lady Liberty. While the husband and son, well, they go off to a baseball
and a couple
game.
of their friends.
And a couple of their friends that they meet there.
Mm-hmm.
Because and one of them just so happens to be like an ex-girlfriend of Finn's that apparently had left some old feelings or whatnot, like back in the day or whatnot. So she was hoping to get some action with Finn, and there's a friend that's sitting there next to the husband. He's kind of like the comic relief of the group. And I guess they start watching the game. And then somewhat during the game, when there's a break, they meet up with Richard Kine's character. Apparently he was a baseball player and a baseball manager at one point in time. And he spoke about a moment back in the day when he just didn't hit right. And he kind of failed, But when this Sharknado began coming, he hit a shark right out of the ballpark. But what did y'all think about the game leading up to the storm itself? And I believe there is a moment while they are waiting for their friend to show up that not Ian, Finn. Finn chooses to go and meet up with the friends anyways. If anything, to get them out of Dodge and to safety. But he takes a taxi. And guess who shows up? Independence Day actor Judd Hirsch, if I remember correctly. What did y'all think about Judd Hirsch as the taxi cab driver?
Well, as far as all that, I thought it was
He was
interesting
fun.
seeing all those like cameos in the baseball and in the taxi. I will say that there was definitely an appearance of other things like product placement, especially for Citibank and Subway.
Mm-hmm.
It made me actually think of this a little bit.
Dun, 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 salsa shark. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
But yeah, I mean, I thought of that, and then of course Jared. Actually, come to think of it, we had a couple people that showed in this before they became problematic individuals.
Right.
One of which on the Today Show, and then the other one was, of course, Jared from Subway, who would have been a part and parcel for their Subway advertising. I just thought that was interesting that we saw those throughout this as well. We're talking about cameos.
Right.
Yeah, I think this might have been a little bit before Subway guy was actually found to be or didn't he get in trouble?
Yeah, he was found with like child porn and stuff.
Not much. This wasn't long before. Yeah, 2015 is when he got in trouble there, and this came out 2014.
Yeah, Subway would have definitely not sponsored this if it had been after he was discovered. It would have been like,
yeah, I'm
why are
sure
you doing it?
Anthony Ferrante, when the news came out about Subway guy, he was like, "Damn it, I shouldn't have used him."
Right.
But
Like,
I guess you can't fault him for having the Subway guy in the Subway. So
I didn't realize Mark McGrath was in Wild Things. Oh,
he's the lead singer of Sugar Ray.
Right. Well, he's done other stuff too. That's why I didn't realize that was one of them.
Was it George Stephanopoulos? That was the other guy who was pretty. Am I getting the name right?
Who? I don't know who you're talking about.
It's the guy that's on the Today Show with Al Roker.
The one that was in the movie.
Yeah,
that was Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer. That's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of.
Yeah.
He definitely had some predatory behaviors too that were discovered. So it's funny, like how
all the news anchors are basically doing themselves.
Which it is funny because if you look at it these days, I mean, of course, back in those days, a lot of people might look at it and go, "Why are these people?" But those people were actually considered very wholesome characters back in the day. Then all this stuff came out.
Yeah.
As it does, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, of course, Finn does show up at the stadium after a little bit, and I do think that Judd Hirsch's character, or the cabbie, gives him a card to say, "Give me a call. I'll be there whenever you want something to happen." But I do like his attitude, especially when he comes up against roadblocks. He's like, "Save your money. I'll get you there somehow."
Well, they were in that cab for a good portion of the movie.
Right. And we should also mention in the hospital, we kind of skipped a couple of those cameos. One of them is my boy Billy Ray, who plays the doctor. And then, of course, Downtown Julie Brown is like a big name in the 80s, and who knows when anyone's talked about her since. Plays one of the nurses.
And Peppa was was one of the friends, I believe.
Right.
Salt and Peppa fame was
right. Yeah. We had. I'm trying to remember what I know Carrie Warwer from. I know I've seen her and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I've seen her from.
Oh, she was the sheriff in Eight-Legged Freaks. I thought it was something we'd done before.
Yeah, spiders, sharks, sharks, you know.
Yep. There you go. And,
A very sci-fi movie, if there was ever was one.
right.
But in any case,
Yeah.
Mark Polonia should have been in this series.
of course, the storms show up
Mhm.
at the baseball diamond, and so people begin to they cancel the game due to snow.
Right. Which, from what I understand, Carrie Warwer was also an Anaconda, so another creature-related film. Nice. Another one we've covered on this channel. Now, Dave, if you watch the special features, you probably saw this, but I saw something on IMDb that said that even though the movie takes place in July, they filmed it in the winter, so it was cold as shit, and you could see everyone's breath. So they wrote it into the script as being a weirdly cold July, and kind of this whole idea of a big storm hitting a big northern storm actually does lend a tiny bit of meteorological logic to the film.
Hot and cold do produce tornadoes.
Exactly.
Though over freezing the tornado to stop it might not be.
Right. Well, it makes as much sense as blowing it up, right?
Hey, blowing it up got federal appeal. That got federal approval.
Right. But
Well, and this is where it begins to get a little sketchy because after the baseball diamond, they meet up with the cabbie again, and that's when Finn decides, hey, we need weapons, and the cabbie driver's like, well, you might be shit out of luck because New York City does not have weapons.
well, first he says, let's go to the gun store. And he's like, this is New York. We don't have guns. And he's like, well, let's go to the hardware store. Why are you going to the hardware store? A chainsaw. We don't have those in New York City either.
You might be able to get them in Jersey.
Right. No, he said maybe Long Island or New Jersey, but I wouldn't go to New Jersey or something like that.
Yep. So
Well, in truth, you really don't need a chainsaw in New York.
So they end up
Everyone needs
going
a
to
chainsaw.
they end up going to a pizza joint, which is owned by a guy named Vinny. Which originally, when they were casting, they originally wanted like somebody as Italian as could be, but then they came up with Bismarck, Bismarcky, or whatever his name is, and I actually think he doesn't do too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks him for the propane tanks. He's like, no, man, you're probably better safe in here than out there. And then a shark drops through the ceiling, and he's like, dude, grab what you want.
Man,
I
that's the
how
weird
they
thing. You're sitting in
kind of shove him into the pizza oven. I wonder what kind of pizza that would have tasted like. Something a little close to anchovies.
No, shark and anchovy don't taste anything alike.
Well, it's weird that you've got like a high rise that's above that pizza restaurant. Somehow the shark comes through the ceiling.
Actually, that reminds me. Wasn't it Judd Hirsch who's asked him like what it smelled like inside a shark? And he's like, I think it would smell like chicken. And he's like, no, not at all. He's like, I can't describe what it smells like.
He gave a good laugh at it, though.
Yeah.
According to I was watching a reaction video of a shark scientist reacting to the first film. He's like, because he reacts to the kiss when he's like covered with shark guts. He's like, I can tell you, shark guts do not smell good at all. It's surprising that she would not be throwing up trying to do that kiss.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. They could have even turned it into a joke, and it would have made perfect sense.
Okay, now I got to talk about some of the different weapons that they decided to think up of. Sugar Ray and his son decided to go to a convenience store, and I guess they were looking for anything to do with flares or the kid, the son. Well, he came up with a good idea with the liquid nitrogen, or what was it?
It was like it was called napalm. I think.
Napalm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the smell of napalm in
They
the
found
morning.
canisters of napalm in New York.
Well, it's technically a charcoal starter, so you know.
Ha! Okay, that's kind of hilarious. IMDb says that Mark McGrath looks so much like Ethan Hawke that people mistake them for each other, and they both sign autographs as whoever is the other person. It'd be kind of hilarious. But anyway. But yeah, they do their supply run and get lots of shit. Yeah. You should probably mention that apparently Finn and Martin used to be boys. And when Martin married Finn's sister, it didn't go so well. So that's one of the reasons he's sent to get them, is because they want the two of them to make up. So a little bit of plot device there, I guess.
As you do.
As you do. Yep.
I mean, it's just like you had the one woman there that wanted to get back in with him again because they kind of missed this romantic thing. And then, okay, why was Nova not in the movie? I feel like they mentioned her at the beginning, but I didn't catch it.
I don't know if they said specifically.
She was the romantic interest at the end of the first film.
It almost looked they paired her off with the son, though. I mean, it looked that way.
I don't know. I mean, I'll have to wait until I watch the third and the fourth to see if they keep changing. Well, they have to in this one because they killed this one off.
Yeah.
Well, and he kind of came romantically entangled with his ex-wife again. So you know.
Right. Well, he's got to be careful of pissing her off now that she has a buzzsaw for a hand.
Going all like Ash on him.
Which was no doubt 100% intentional.
I like how one of the last weapons that they decided to grab was the swords from this one.
Yeah.
And Finn is running down the street with this like medieval looking sword, and I think it looks badass.
Well, yeah. That's probably why they did it. It's like the scene in Pulp Fiction when Butch is in the pawn shop and he's looking at all the weapons and he sees the sword and he's like,
you know, that's actually a series we need to get back into. In a month where we've got 5 weeks in there, we need to do the Evil Dead series, because we could cover the 3 main Evil Dead movies and we could cover the 2 remake movies.
But do we really want to?
Hey, if anything, you would have fun with the second and third one.
Oh, I mean, I love Army of Darkness. I do love that one.
And the second one's run almost more of a horror comedy than a horror film. Though I haven't seen the second one in ages. It would just be the first, the remake, and the Evil Dead Rise that you would have trouble with.
Well, I will concede Evil Dead Rise was a well-made film. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so now that they've grabbed up all the weapons that they could,
right.
I do have to mention that the Vivica Fox is her name. I believe it in reality, but she is the friend. She is the friend that had feelings for him, and I guess
Right.
there is a moment that Tara Reid's character as April, she even supposedly notices that she still likes him or whatnot, which I don't know how she can get that from those 5 minutes, but
she was pretty obvious that she still likes him.
well, it was obvious to us, but how long?
She told him.
Yeah.
How long was April with the group in order to actually say that statement?
I don't know.
That's the thing. My suspension of belief for how she could figure that out in like the 2 seconds that she showed up to the group.
Considering the suspension of disbelief necessary for April to be able to go around with a buzzsaw hand and acting like a badass when she's still recovering from major trauma and surgery, I think that's more of a suspension of disbelief than her being perceptive about a possible arrival.
True that. Be that as it may, that's the only thing that stood out to me at the moment. Like, how the heck do you know anything? Like, I know that she was at the end of the room, and suddenly she blurted that out, and that's another moment that Finn had to re-explain to her that they were trying to work on things together, and they'll get through it. So, but in any case, okay. So, what ends up happening is they end up being. I think that what they end up being is they end up being told that they're wanted by the mayor. So they end up going and speaking to the mayor, and that's when you see the fire chief, who is actually Kurt Angle, the wrestler. And that's his cameo. So I believe Finn talks to the mayor and the fire chief, and comes up with a plan where he's got to go and basically blow up this electric thingy on top of the Empire State Building, and basically electrify the sharks in some capacity. Almost kind of like Benjamin Franklin sticking a kite up into the sky to lightning to catch on to the key, So
well, don't we all remember from elementary school that Benjamin Franklin was the first to fight sharks during weather events?
Well, except I don't think Benjamin Franklin used a chainsaw.
Well, it was just an older version of the chainsaw.
I mean, he used a hacksaw.
No, it was a skeleton. It was a skeleton key from Nilbog.
Yeah, there you go.
But in any case, moving forward, so I do believe that he tries to tell April to stay back because obviously her hand is the way it is, and him and this old flame end up I don't know, I don't remember her name, so that's why I'm going but they end up charging up the stairs. They have a Back to the Future moment, kind of like the thing got stuck on the clock, except that this was actually a wire that had to go through one of the electrical units, and it came apart. Well, she had to go in and hold it, and and he had to use his chainsaw to light the fuse, and that dissipated the storm. And at that point in time, the tornado hit them both, and in the same moment that the sharks were beginning to fall, the wind took them both.
No, it was the force of the explosion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the explosion that blew the building.
The dissipating winds, because the wind funnel was still going of the tornado, but it was just
okay.
Yeah, apparently there was still a tornado going on, because there was a guy afterwards when the whole people were trying to deal with the sharks on the ground, where he just had a bunch of chainsaws going and threw it into the tornado, and then they were cutting up the sharks in the tornado.
I didn't see that as a tornado so much as like
you gotta love how all the New Yorkers, when they ran at the same moment that they were doing that stuff up on the Empire State Building, all of them had forks and pitchforks and weapons of all kinds in their trunks.
Right.
And that was another instant. Like, okay, these guys all had weapons ready at the ready.
Well, they weren't at the ready. Like you said, they all ran to get them. It would have made more sense if they were all waiting with the weapons in hand.
Because he told them to be ready, because he said there was going to be sharks on the ground.
Yeah, but they were already ready in their trunks. Like they had pre-known that they were to carry them to begin with. So I don't know how they fucking knew to be that prepared.
Be prepared. Well, again, I wonder why they didn't have, like they still had to run to get them. That was kind of weird, but whatever. And of course, the force of the explosion blew Sky basically right into a shark, which killed her. And thing gets blown up in the air and somehow managed to get hold of a chain and yoke it around a shark so he could ride the shark down.
Oh, I thought it was great. And then he manages to ride it so that it impales itself.
Yeah.
Top of the Empire State Building. That was perfect. That was great.
Scientifically, I don't think that that chainsaw would have cut so neatly through that shark.
No.
But what scientifically about this movie has worked out pretty well?
Not much. Oh, and another thing, like Empire State Building is famous for its height, yes?
Okay.
It seemed to me that stuff that was happening on the roof, people on the street were reacting to it. And I was like, how in the hell do you have any idea what's happening on that roof?
Well, there was one other movie that did that, where something landed on the Empire State Building thing, and that was James and the Giant Peach.
Well, I wasn't talking quite so much about that. It's like some of the stuff that was going on. Like, I swear there were a couple of parts before the explosion. Like, I think that moment that y'all mentioned, that Back to the Future moment. Like, wasn't there a cheer that went up once they fixed that? And it was like, how the hell do y'all know what they just did?
Right.
Like, yeah. So, I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. That's all I say.
Right. So, of course, the other thing that happened was apparently the shark that had bitten her arm off was the same shark that came into attack at Finn, and was one of the sharks that April killed with, or maybe it wasn't her who killed it, but it was one of the ones that was nearby. And he grabbed her.
Wasn't it the one that he, like, another one tried to swallow him this time, but he, like, went right through it and out the other side with the chainsaw?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But in any case, at the end of the
Well,
movie,
okay. And here's another part of like, you got to take this with a grain of salt. So when April's attacked in the first place, we see what looks like her hand and part of her forearm is gone. Then when you see her in the hospital, they say, well, we managed to save part of the limb, which makes it sound like she probably left everything below the elbow at the best case scenario. But you see her arm in the sling, and she clearly has most of her arm in the sling. And then when they put the buzzsaw on the end, it looks like, yes, her hand was gone, but the buzzsaw is right where the hand would have been. But the hand he pulled out of the shark looks like almost an entire forearm, almost up to the elbow. It's like, yeah, you didn't even try for consistency, did you?
Nope. They knew that they were.
Of course, the wedding ring is on that hand, so he gives it back to her. Yep. He chucks the arm. We don't need this anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
I believe that she says yes and kisses his bloody lips, because he's totally like soaked in blood, or not like covered in blood, you know. So of course she's not caring at that moment. Of course, we don't know what happened to that old flame, but I think we can figure that she was eaten.
Oh, we know what happened. They don't know what happened. They showed it.
Yep. So, in any case, I think we are at the end of the film, and now they basically have a moment where all the New Yorkers are like, well, you don't mess with New Yorkers, basically, kind of a moment.
Yep.
We get reintroduced to the whole cast, including the cameos, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So let's look at production. Tammy, are you still around? Did you want to say some words on production? Okay, I think we lost her. But let's go over to you, Jake. What did you think about production?
I mean, it's probably about what you'd expect for this kind of movie. I guess, given all the locations and everything, they did a pretty good job. The CG is still pretty horrible, but you know, it's meant to be. So yeah, I think they did all right. Like I said, there were some inconsistencies, like the length of the arm being cut off. There were areas like that where they clearly were not trying for continuity errors. Let's put it that way. There were a few of those, but again, for the kind of movie it is, I think they did pretty good.
Okay. What about you, Brandon?
Well, you know, as far as films go, there have been worse for this, and you don't expect it to have that perfect look. I don't know if anybody who is out there going, man, this needed to look perfect. It needed to have everything look realistic. At least not to my knowledge yet, anyway. But so it looked like it needed to look. It had the just about the right amount of reality to it to make it hit where it needed to hit. And they did film in New York, which is probably where most of the budget went, to filming in New York. And the cameos. Though I do think that a lot of the cameos, especially as we go along, are people who probably asked to be in this movie. As opposed to, you know.
Well, yeah. obviously, if you are going to be making a cool film and it makes money, and everybody wants to get on the gravy train and start asking me, "Can I be in? Can I come in?"
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of the people who want to be in on it probably are less likely trying to be in on it to make money off of it, but more in it just to be a part of the fad.
Yeah.
But that's my take on it.
Yeah, I know that that the sharks don't look entirely real, but for the most part, when they're in the air or on the airplane or flying towards you, they look almost like a real shark enough for me to be somewhat believable. But you know, do I want would I have wanted this to be a perfectly CGI'd movie? Probably not, because then it wouldn't make it as funny as it is. I mean, you can tell the things that are fake. You can tell when they're fugging up. You know, they made an intentionally bad series of films, and it just gets more crazy as it goes along. But they intentionally made these films to look bad, and I think that's actually something to its charm, and more for the good than anything else. I don't get why the scores are so low on IMDb, but I mean, if you sit back and relax, you can have fun with these movies. So what if the shark looks bad? So what if it's impossible scientifically? Who the fuck cares? You know, it's a movie and it's made well, and whether you want to admit it or not, these actors, even though they are corny, they are, I think, over the top is better than a boring drone computer sounding person who sounds like they should be in an office cubicle somewhere. You know, or something of that nature. I mean, come on, people. Whatever. But I enjoy it, and I guess it has the same song by what was it, Quint?
Quint, yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit funny because that's the name of the shark hunter in Jaws.
Right. The Ballad of Sharknado, yes. Well, there are multiple songs, and over the end credits, they have a song called I'm Going to Take a Bite Out of the Big Apple Before It Takes a Bite Out of Me. And I have to admit, I really like that song. I thought that was
I wonder if it's that Cowboy Jesus that was strumming the guitar almost.
That was the director.
Okay.
The guy that was playing the guitar on the subway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the director.
Okay.
Although he co-wrote several of the songs. Again, if we remember correctly, Robbie Risk, I think, played the bus driver in the first movie. Apparently, they co-wrote nearly all the songs, and I think maybe there are. Let's see if we can find out the band makeup here. I don't know who's in the band. Doesn't tell me.
I don't know.
Anyway.
But now
I think they're both in the band.
But now I think we are on favorite characters and our favorite scenes. So let's start with you, Jake. What was a favorite character and or favorite scene?
Favorite character and or favorite scene?
Yep.
I don't really know Who my favorite character would be? I'm tempted to go with our cabbie, Judd Hirsch's character. I'm tempted to go with him. Maybe, I mean, Finn's certainly a contender, and so is Sky. But we'll go with Ben was the name of the cabbie. We'll go with him. Favorite scene. I'm almost tempted. I don't know that I have a clear-cut winner, but I'm almost tempted to say those scenes with that one random weather woman who keeps talking about sharks falling at the rate of 2 inches an hour. Because I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun line.
Right.
Did you have anything else, or is that it?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Alrighty, heading over to you, Brandon. Favorite character or characters and or favorite scene?
Well, I guess my favorite character is the cab driver, just because. And as far as favorite scenes, I had a lot of fun things that went on in the movie. So I guess I'll just put in the airplane scene in the beginning. I like the whole Twilight Zone and airplane references. Both of those were great.
Although they missed an opportunity to say, "And don't call me Shirley." And I don't know if Brandon heard this, but I just heard thunder. And so it's kind of funny that we're getting ready to have a storm here. I hope it's not a Sharknado.
Go, 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 Sharknado. No, anyways, I'm going to go, well, first of all, I like Finn as a character, because he does carry himself like a badass hero in these movies. And he does ultimately, and is the one that carries it all the way through to its fruitful end. So, that being as said, I do like the cabbie driver. I'm reminded of his roles in Independence Day whenever I think about him. So,
apparently, also he starred in Taxi, so that was probably a direct reference there too.
But yeah, I like a lot of little bits and pieces. I mean, I love the Twilight Zone, and the thing about the original episode of that Twilight Zone episode that he's spoofing is that it's kind of all based on a true fear that William Shatner actually has of being up in airplanes. So I thought that was interesting, and I don't blame him for not like reprising the role. In here, I know you said that he was asked, but I don't blame him for not showing up. But it worked better for Finn to do that a moment than him, anyways. So, as far as other moments, I do like the part that he slices a shark in half. I do like the moment where he rides the shark to the Empire State Building, and just the various comedy bits from certain people. I mean, the one friend that took that big ass bat. I thought that was a little funny, where he reached up above the little kiosk and grabbed the big bat when they were looking for weapons as they left the stadium. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, very. It's just you find things funny each time. At least to me, it's kind of like my version of the Christmas story movies that my cousins seem to like watching 24/7, and they always tell me every time I watch it, I find something different I like, and I'm like, it's the same about the Sharknado movies.
Hey, everybody has their vice.
Yep, but
I mean, shoot, mine is getting apparently high quality Arby's stuff.
But in any case, hopefully everyone has enjoyed our discussion on this film. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion. Let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments. And we'll be continuing the Sharknado franchise as we continue this month. Now, I suppose you want to hear a little bit about us and what we do. So let's go over to Jake. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm Kotobukijake. I'm the sometime co-host of Versus the World. And I have a lot of friggin' stuff on the plate. I do have my full-time gig that keeps me busy most of the time. When I'm not outside gardening or hiking or generally trying to enjoy this world for as long as I can before it is cruelly snuffed out, which is coming way faster than we would like. And I did give a talk Saturday at the local nursery on native plants. I'm working on a long-term project to that end. Also, I'm working on a novel that I'm hoping will see the light of day eventually. Workshopping it right now. And try to make time to watch stuff, although honestly haven't had as much desire to lately, but I still join these folks for their discussions, and I was glad to finally have an excuse to tackle the Sharknado. Yeah.
Alrighty. Heading over to you, Brandon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm SeptumSin versus the world. We like physical media. I do a lot of pickup videos and reviews. I'm trying to do a review a week. This time we are actually having another Anhedenia project episode, which we look at the sixth volume of the DV series. So we always love those. Our as far as pickups or anything this week, I'm kind of bare bones on that this time around, but we'll continue as it goes. Hoping to finish up one big project so I can start more. I really want to get a couple big ones that I want to do. Amityville show I want to start filming. I would like to do a second season eventually, a tabletop horror. I would like to do a short film and a feature film that I want to do. But I do have at least one feature film, which is the film Amityville Webcam, if you want to see that. And, of course, the Anhedenia Project feature film, which is on, Anhedenia On Demand, if you want to see that. So, some fun stuff out there, and I'm hoping to do more as it goes. Check it out. Got some fun stuff coming up, and we will see how that runs.
Alrighty, and my name is David Struggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. I'll just say a brief message about Tammy. She loves to come on here as well as another channel, and she loves to discuss movies and listen to other people's opinions. And right now, she's gearing up to start looking at what kind of car shows are going to be happening this year for her 1972 Grand Prix. So I know she kind of fell off the mic here for a moment, but that's probably because she's tired. She's had a long weekend. But in any case, I do another channel from time to time, and I do believe we're off for this Sunday because of Easter Sunday going on, so that I can go spend some time with my folks where they are. And but when we come back, we'll be doing the 2016 version of Ben-Hur. So that should be interesting. Since we've already gone on about the first remake of the Tale of Christ, I figure since we're kind of doing it around Easter, it's one that I often like paired with the Ten Commandments. At least the one with Charlton Heston and his 10 commandments back to back, like normally on Easter or a Good Friday or whatnot. But in any case, I do some video pickups and some video reviews from time to time. If you want to check out some of that stuff, do some gaming from time to time. I know I went on about one of the latest games I had picked up. I believe Brandon told me about it because it's from the Bloober Boob team who did Silent Hill 2 and that other double feature, Dark. Can't think of it at the moment right now, but you know the one I speak of. But in any case, check out some of that. I'm probably going to be going on sometime this week about on some more of that. And I know I'm looking forward to Soul Reaver, which is coming out June 12th or 13th. They've got the first two coming out on PS5, so definitely looking forward to that. I wish the other two weren't just coming out on Evercade, or because I know Evercade is another gaming system, but you know, in any case, like, share, and subscribe. And it's maybe a little premature, but I do believe that we have finally finished the edit of the Act 2 of Tales of the Forgotten. I gotta look at it. It's my homework for the week, reminding myself here.
I realized actually one of the things as I was looking at the edit while we were discussing this movie, I realized that we didn't put in a title card for the beginning. So I already found something there. It's not corrected on the version that you'll be seeing, but I have corrected it already. So I think it'll be... So at least I've got one thing already done. But see, just that's another reason why you got to watch these things before you throw them out.
Yep. Yeah, we forgot about the title card. But anyways, thanks for seeing that right away. And I guess we'll see you guys next week here on Inside Movies Galore. So everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Inside Movies Galore just makes you just want more. We've had all in the world of media to explore. Horror, anime, or Curious George. Our love of new things was our reward. It is the best night of our week.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.